What's going on, everybody? My name is Zach Kenney, and this is ZK Live, episode 4. I own ZK Painting. We're a custom painting contractor based in Rhode Island. We have a very exciting guest today, Jessica Allred from Alternative Finishes. Alternative Finishes. Come on.
Man,
Third time's the charm.
it's like it will not send. It was like, oh my god, this is par for the course because I am not technically qualified for much of this stuff. So
You're here now.
baby steps. Thank you.
How are you?
Good. Nervous, but you're a good role model. So bear with me. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. I'm excited for everyone to get to hear your story and to see your perspective on painting because it's awesome. And it's really, you've affected my life in many ways and shown me what's possible. So it's cool. People don't, you do your work so amazingly, but we're working on getting you out there more because people need to know this stuff. So why don't you tell us how you started in the trade? Everyone has a unique story for that.
Was late 90s, and I was in Vegas, and there was loads of work, and basically started in the apprenticeship there. You didn't have to know anything technically.
In the union?
In the union, yeah. And I started out with an outfit that did mostly just wallpaper and decorative painting. And we did like the entire, like what used to be the Aladdin Hotel, like just entire hotels from the decorative painting aspect to the wall covering, from the hallways to the rooms to the suites, and just had a lot of exposure to so many different amazing craftsmen and journeymen and tile setters and floor finishers, floor coverers, and everyone just had to just move and shake 24/7. And production was the name of the game, so we put in a lot of time. I, like Phil was saying a couple weeks ago, or you were saying too, where every fingertip is bleeding from caulking, and you just rock and roll, and there are targets that are set. And it was amazing to just see how quickly things would come together if it's organized well, as far as like, you do this, and make a plan and work the plan. And it really set the tone for me and got the fire in my soul to like see the potential of this trade, and in harmony with other trades too, because you need walls to paint, you need cabinetry that's well built to paint. You need nice wallpaper complements, trim. I mean, it's all part of so much hard work and time, and to see to be a part of it on a daily basis, and at the end of it to just see every week we'd finish a floor and just be blown away, and then to work inside the casino portion of things and get perspective of something that's 60 feet in the air and something that's 6 feet in front of you, really gave me just blew my mind of what this trade holds as finishers.
So you guys those casinos have some badass interiors, right? You guys got to do some really crazy stuff.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, just from like white silk. I was an apprentice, and I was just pasting the material with the silk, and I couldn't sweat. I was so nervous, and I couldn't sweat on the silk. I couldn't get paste on the face of the silk, and just to see all the different installers methods. And then we were working 7 days. My least work week was 85 hours, was my least work week in the course of a year, when they give you a printout of your hours and stuff like that. But it didn't feel like it. And at the time, that's what it required. And a lot of apprentices didn't make it. Again, there's a high demand, but I just showed up. and I did what I was asked to do. I knew I had to keep all these journeymen busy, and I had to make sure that they had hot water and that the scraps were picked up. And, you know, there were so many other apprentices just itching to get on the wall. But they were the first to go, because the minute they got on the wall, they stopped clearing their rough-in for their outlets, because that's the apprentice's job. And I just told myself, I never want to be that person. My work, all of our work is as good as the surface it's on. And so I learned a lot of things that I saw wasn't working for longevity in the trade. And then with that work ethic, again, coming back to showing up, there were apprentices for the paint division, and they wouldn't show up at 2 in the morning when the guy was spraying. He was spraying from 2 to 4. He'd be spraying all the jams, because there was nobody working during that time. And so if the apprentice didn't show up to mask and all that stuff to assist the sprayer, then that would defeat the purpose of getting that day's target done. So then I asked, it was the same company, so I asked, can I, you know, do you mind if I come in and I'll mask and I'll do all the things? And so that got me a little bit more exposure to paint. And eventually I'd get there a little bit earlier, and I'd be ahead like one wing of the floor. And so I'd get to see how he primed his machine. And then by the time I'd all unmasked by the time he was done at the end, and then he'd be like, okay, you get to spray this stairwell. And then he'd say, okay, I'm gonna show you how to clean the machine. So I just seized every opportunity to really just garner everything that I could learn. I couldn't believe that in the finishing trades, it was so limitless. You could just do this, or you can do this really well, or you can be able to paint different materials or different wall coverings, or I mean, it was just unbelievable to me. I just like, who wouldn't? It was I was young too, so it was very exciting time, and I strive every day to still find that excitement in each project that I do.
Well, I think I know a bit about the type of work you do, and so you do a very like broad range of types of projects, and it sounds like that you're able to do that because of your extensive knowledge. You've studied all the different aspects of painting, or many of them. So kind of give us an idea of like what is the types of projects that you generally do today?
Well, it's all over the place, as you know. I feel because we're so small that we do very unique custom situations where all the details, all the hard work, and they're like, oh, we can't, this tile is no longer available, or we don't know what this paint is, but we need to fix this ding in this panel. And so I would say, I mean, so by diversifying, we do, you know, faux finish, we do wall covering, installation, regular painting, a lot of restoration. We work on a lot of older things, not much new construction. Although I salivate when I walk jobs and I see like all the trim just needs to be filled and eased and primed and sanded again and then caulked. Like I'm just like, I miss the days of having that kind of groove for a week or two. But so we do some new, we do a lot of old stuff. And a lot of the stuff we've been doing lately is very unique custom finishes, where, you know, you've probably seen it too, where there's a lot more artisanal flooring that's coming out that's pre-finished. Just whenever there's just a missing piece and, you know, you can't get access to it, or it's just the lead time to have it custom made. So we tend to be called in to the fixer. We're the fixers. And if we can, we will do everything in our power to do so.
That's awesome. So I saw recently you did some faux marble looking stuff on the edge of a Caesar stone for NS Builders.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So because as a painter, that's so my experience. I that's not in my wheelhouse at all. My brain and my experience is very good at like a gloss wall. It's like following like I'm like a baker. Like I follow a very strict recipe that I've already planned and I know works. You're like this magic chef that comes in and like you don't even really know what the ingredients are, but you like experiment. And I love for you to tell people about that process of how you look at something, don't know what's there, what the coating is, and how you're able to blend it in and make it whatever you put there, make it look like it was all uniform.
Well, when I was an apprentice, I asked my teacher, hey, where in Vegas is the best faux finish? So I know what that looks like. You know, I want to see the good, what's good. And he said, why would you want to faux from a faux? Like, learn from what it is you're trying to work on and to replicate. Be inspired by the things, you know, what's in front of you. So that I sort of take that, it sort of grounds me when I see something. And I always say that, you know, my finish is only as good as the surface it's on. So I think the easiest part, I'm no artist. I can draw a horse or fruit to save my life. But I want to basically make sure that what I'm doing to whatever surface is going to stick to it and bond. Then I'll do my finish. I'll talk about that in a second. And then the other important part is that will it last? So when I look at something, I didn't know, thankfully, 11 Interiors and NS Builders were really, really helpful in providing as much information as they could and gave me a sample of what it was supposed to be. It just didn't get treated on the edges. So I did a little research on the manufacturer. What is this product? It's a composite. And I did some videos just for my own. It allows me to really engage and be more present with the project. It was very small, but I told them I just need to know a few things and see the piece. And so what is the material that I need to paint on top of? Feature, function, right? And then I kind of look at the colors, and then I have a nice arsenal of tints and different things. And the more each random project that comes our way, it allows me to sort of like each project teaches me more and more. And it just expands on, oh, this tint, trans tint would be better here, or Tinsol or Mixol or would be better here. And is it compatible? So for me, the aesthetic look of it is kind of the easiest part if I have something to sort of, you know, learn from and to respect what it is. And so I probably did 5 tests on bonding, and then I finish wise, it's just, you know, try this. You guys were talking about favorite brushes. I don't really, I mean, I have a brush, a go-to brush, but like I kind of, some people make fun of me because some of my brushes are like Free Willy, you know, and but sometimes you got to do the best you can with what you have, and that Free Willy brush might like be the perfect sweep of some type of finish, especially if I'm trying to replicate someone else's brushstroke, you know. So it's jobs like that that sort of reintroduce, like, oh, you know, the XIM 400 bonding primer, which is clear, didn't bond as well as I wouldn't trust the finish on it, and then what top coat's going to be the right sheen and stuff like that. So it was a small job. I spent more time figuring it out than to execute on the job. But when I showed up on the job, it was like boom, boom, boom. And, you know, being able to sort of, I'm not here to like impress anybody. I'm here to, I'm asked to accomplish a task that's needed. And just happy that the client was happy. I have yet to personally meet Nick and the team at NS, but they're wonderful, and 11 Interiors is amazing too. So I think it's just it's teamwork. You know, we're all part of a relay to get across the finish line. So,
So you said one of your trademark phrases. You do the best with what you're given, what you have,
yeah,
right? There's some other ones I think too, right? You get what you give. Is that
you get what you give. Absolutely.
you get
You
what you
know,
give? There's a lot of
I do that. You
so
can't get the second coat on until you get the first. When people are like in their own way, I'm like, well, I can't get the second coat on until you get the first. So there's a sense of urgency, you know. I try to be mindful of time, and you know, it's about time and money and all those things. So I try to keep it real, put myself in check. But I'm a big fan of you get what you give, and you can only do the best you can with what, you know, do the best you can with what you have. I was in a woodworking co-op shop for 10 years. Woodworkers, not the best dust containment system. I mean, I walked, it was horrible, but I did. And, you know, some people work out of their garages. Some people work in their basement. Some people have a really rock star spray booth. That's awesome. But whether you're just starting out or you're 30 years in, like, you always just do the best you can with what you have. And if you're prepping it right, and and your client's happy, you vacked it, you tacked it, you coated it, you did everything within spec, and your client's happy, whether it's shiny or not, or mirror finish or not. Like, ultimately, we're in the world of protective coatings, whether it's a speckled Caesar stone aesthetic or a high gloss door or a cerused finish. I mean, it's amazing because it's all protective finish that's meant to protect and make the client happy for what they want. And to be a part of that, to see what you guys are doing, what all my brothers and sisters are doing, it just, I couldn't be more proud to be a part of an amazing industry.
yeah. So you were in the union for a while. How many years?
4.5,
And
5.
then you moved to the East Coast and started out on your own?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
It wasn't the plan. 9/11 happened. I figured in Vegas, on the trajectory I was on, if I did everything right, I would have this particular job in Vegas, like master artisan level. And I was offered that job after I journeyed out, and I was like, no, like, there's so much more to learn. And I felt like I was working on things to look a certain way, all faux finish all the time. I felt like I was still young in the trade, that I wanted to now work on things that were 100 and 200 years old, or marble and stone that was quarried out. And so I felt like, since I learned on the West Coast and there was no oil base out there, no lacquer. And so I figured, I didn't have kids, I didn't have a mortgage. I will come out to the East Coast. I knew one person, and I would be able to get exposure to learning the trade backwards in some respects. So, so I transferred my car, did all that. I'll skip forward to like how this happened. 9/11 happened, and work got all crazy, and I had to kind of keep feeding my soul. I did a lot of side work for people, and like supers that were part of job projects that were like, hey, you working? Because everything got shut down. And then I just started getting out there and working with people, and because I was cheap labor, right? I'm so nervous, I'm thirsty. Sorry.
So this is when you were back at the $25 an hour range.
I was probably less than, no, yeah, I was 20. I think I was 20. And so then the clients were asking for me, and obviously out of like, and you know, respect, I wouldn't conflict, but I would see, like, you know, some of these people saying, oh, looks good for my house, or one coat and done on the ceiling. That's great for you. But I just felt like morally, like, I'm like, this is this is not the direction I want to be going. So I took some classes in New York at the finishing school, and I just kept pushing my own self. And then I just ended up, my vendor, my paint store who had my back, was like, kid, where'd you learn this stuff? You know, and I'm just so grateful for every opportunity of people giving me a chance and a project that even though I didn't have much experience with this or that at that time, but they're like, I trust you. I know that you're going to do a good job. You're the one I want to do it. You're the one I want in my summer home or winter home when we're not there. Just do the best you can. And I took that very seriously, and I still do. And then I just ended up, you know, more work. And I had a crew at one point, and I'd say around, so, you know, 9/11 changed things, and then 2008 was changed things too. And by kind of like realizing, okay, I'm part of a luxury service. I get it. I'm not, people can sleep just fine if they have blue walls or whatever, you know. So I just went small and said, I need to remind myself, or my estimates on point. You know, there's so much work out there. There's so many amazing, talented finishers out there at all levels. Why don't I just specialize? I will do one-day jobs. I'll do 6-week jobs, but you get me. And I have an assistant, Linda, who's the best assistant anybody could ever ask for. You know, you go in with integrity and you do the best you can with what you have. And each job is very unique. You know, if someone works with me and they're so busy trying to convince me of what they know or why this won't work, it's not, you're getting in your own way, you know? So I like it being small. When my business make more money when I had more people? Yes, but I didn't feel 100% about like my engagement. I want to be more involved, and I feel like the work itself is only a fraction of the service, the experience that and the relationships we have. And so it's important to me to unplug everything at every break. We don't leave anything plugged in or unattended, because I don't use halogen lights, but I've seen halogen lights, you know.
So you have a few processes like what you described that I had never heard of anything like it. The amount of thought and care that you put into stuff, like unplugging everything at break.
I mean, it's just a vacuum and a light, you know. We housekeep twice, at least twice, so that at the end of the day, it's a lot easier. Yeah, we're very methodical. When we do wallpaper, our drop cloths don't have paint on them. Our whites don't have paint on them. You know, we're very, you know, obviously every detail is important to us. Our coffee cups go inside of a bucket. They're not, or in a sink. They don't go on anywhere else on the floor or anything, just so they don't spill.
Like, I love that. You know? When you first told me that, I was like, that is so genius. There's never a coffee cup or anything out. A bottle of water, and it's in a bucket or it's in a sink. It's in something that will, if it does spill, it's contained.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
I learned from others' mistakes and my own, you know. I welcome mistakes and error because it teaches you what not to do. It teaches you how to make it right. And sometimes mistakes are a welcome finish all of itself. I'd say count on one hand finishes I was halfway through, and the client's like, stop. I was like, but they're like, I'm going to pay you the same. I just something about this. It's not even anything close to what we were going to. And I was just like, if the client's happy, give them what they want. So.
I love that. So when you decided to get small again, what was your hourly rate, would you say then?
In 2008?
Yeah.
It's 60, 65.
So how does one go from 65 an hour to charging $120 an hour? I'm sure everyone would love to know. And
Well, I think,
I've got to talk to you extensively about this, and I think it's brilliant. But if you could just tell that story a little bit.
all right. I think that the marrying key factor, I think, which has more importance, is that 80% of our work is T&M. And so I think it basically just started out with people knew what they were getting when they got us. And so 60, 65, you know, I have to feel comfortable. Like I have to feel within myself, like that I'm giving them a good value for what they're paying. I take a little longer. You know, I will vacuum, I will sand, I will set those nails. And so, but it really is a non-issue for my clients. And I think because, it took many years to assert kind of what we bring to the table. And it's obviously, we respect the opportunity to be considered for a job. Almost all the time we're on jobs with other painters. So the contractor has their painting company, and then the homeowner or the designer might hire us, probably like yourself, to do a particular thing. So we don't talk money on the job. We don't talk to, you know, oh, how much you making? None of that. But I think really, I knew what my overhead was. I knew that I wanted to invest in things. I wanted to continue to take classes. I wanted to afford better. I wanted that festool, you know, those little things. And so it just sort of justified itself. And, but mostly what people want, one of my vendors told me once, because I feel bad sometimes when I'd be like, you know, my shop, my 4th generation paint store, they're amazing. They're like family to me. And he's like, yeah, sometimes the wallpaper is $500 a sheet, 3 yards is $500. That's just the material, you know? And so he's like, Jessica, it doesn't matter the cost. They just want you. And so by having that relationship with that, like this person's going to come in and she's, I'm going to show up on time. I think showing up on time, much like my early days in the apprenticeship, you could be Picasso, but if you don't show up, what is that? Nothing, you know? So I take a lot of pride in being where I say I'm going to be, doing what I say I'm going to do for the price I'm going to do it for. So I'm very transparent to the point where if it doesn't work for you, let's get it out of the way. I'm okay with that. There's plenty of talented people that are faster, less expensive. Great. If it doesn't work out, you can call me, and it happens a lot. So for me, I just sort of felt a lot more confident in what I'm bringing to the table, the focus and being present and making sure that each job and each situation, small and large, is you own me, and there's a value to that. There's a price to that, and you own me for the hours of the day, not 24/7, but like I am truly going to give everything I have with respect and grace in this project, because that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I still do this, and I never want to lose that. So realizing the value of that, and my clients see the value in that. When I jumped from 90 to 107, I was a little worried, but also because I couldn't believe like my numbers, but I was also like, I know what I'm.
And you had a bunch of work, right? The whole time you
Dude,
had all the work you could ever handle and a year-long wait
my
list.
queue was getting into almost at the 2-year mark. You know, when people wait 18
I
years.
think so. Most painters hear that, and like my mind was blown the first time I ever heard that. You have a 2-year waiting list
At the time, yeah.
at a $90 an hour rate. And
Yeah.
to me, I think it's so much of that comes back to what you're describing. Like you are so invested in the project being done right and the client being happy. and you've married that with insane skill and knowledge. I was laying in bed last night and I was thinking about like the word craftsmanship. I was reading a book that was talking about like having passion being a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was called The Ego is the Enemy, which is something we'll talk about too. But he was talking about the passionate people and talking about things can get in the way of getting things done. But I was thinking about craftsmanship, and I couldn't sleep, and I like randomly wrote down like knowledge and skill, combining knowledge and skill to meet clients' budget and expectations. So, and I think you have that down so well. It's like whatever the client wants. Just because you might know there's a better paint or a better finish in your mind or a higher end.
Mm-hmm.
If the client wants something else,
Mm-hmm.
giving them what they want. And I think your lack of ego helps in so many ways to give clients what they want. And so when I look at it, I'm like, okay, yeah, you have amazing skill. You also have very little ego involved in this. So magically people want you. And when more and more people want you and there's only so much supply, your prices get to go up. Yeah. So it's an amazing formula that has been very inspiring to me. But if you could talk a little bit about, have you always had this little ego wrapped in like around it? Is it Burning Man that's like helped you remove the ego? Like, what is it? You've been to how many Burning Mans?
You know, I hate, people are going to give me a hard time, but I get confused about the number, but it's certainly 15 at least. Yeah.
And has that impacted you? Where does this, how are you able to have such a lack of ego when it comes to working in these multi-million dollar unreal projects, and yet you're able to focus on the client and the project and not let your ego get in the way?
Well, I'm not trying to, life is short. You know, I'm a good human. There's a lot of great humans out there. We're all squirrels trying to get a nut. It's going to be fine. You know, like it's really, it doesn't have to be cutthroat. I just don't want to live that life. And I feel like so much hard work goes into projects that are, you know, years before me, months and thousands of hours that so many people put in to make this come together. So I feel like, you know, with custom finishes anyway, they're so subjective. I might have 50 Venetian plaster finishes under my belt, and Mike might have 5 Venetian plaster finishes under his belt. If the client likes Mike's technique or his hand, then it's like, sure, I'm skilled enough at this point to respect like his style, but I feel like great for Mike. Like, I'm just so happy to see quality work out there. Like I said, as long as you sand it, you prep it right, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, there are definitely better products than others, but so for me, I just don't take it personal. And I think that may also, for new potential clients or new relationships with designers, I don't know. I mean, you're asking somebody to talk about lack of ego. It's kind of a conflict there.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
But for me, it's sort of, I can't get too upset if the price is too high, or if the scheduling, if I'm not available, or I don't know. It's just there's plenty of stuff out there. Like, kudos to anyone. I think we all got to have our first Venetian plaster. We all got to have our first grass cloth. We all, you know, I applaud anyone that.
Do you think that you were always like that, or this has been something you've like? Because I think it's incredibly admirable. I think it's a very valuable way to look at life. And I think many people struggle to see life that way. Have you always seen life that way?
I don't know. You probably have to ask some of my peers. I'm proud. I always feel like there's always room to grow. I think coming back to like where it started and seeing that ego or people getting ahead of themselves, I'm all for being diligent, and we should all be proud. But somebody's in some people's opinions, that the door has brush strokes, or like, whoa, that you could have sunk that nail. I get it, but at the end of the day, like, it's a protective coating. Like, um, simmer down. You know what I mean? Like, whether, regardless of the finish, I just feel like, you know, do good work. Like, I have the luxury. I think what gave me a lot more confidence was knowing that I have a right to choose my clients as much as they can choose me. So, not to sound pompous, I still want the work. I need the work, you know, but I just feel like I'm not trying to battle it out. I'll show up. I'll I'll be clean. I'll protect things. I'll do what you're asking of me, and for this price, what am I gonna do? I gotta move on. You know, I don't know. I just feel like it's that simple for me, and I don't take it personal if they go another direction, because I hope that those who do get that job, that they're an ally, that I can, like, hey, I can't get to this. Are you interested? Like, if it weren't for all of those journeymen before me, and my foreman and my vendors and people like yourself, or so many people in the trade, not just in painting, that have been there for me, I want to be there for them too. So I'm not trying to, like, life's too short. Like, this is what I do. I want to be able to look in the mirror in the beginning of the day. I want to be able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and know that I did the best I could with that day. And angst and you know, getting all worked up about things is not the way I choose to navigate the work that I have. I want to focus on what I have for the people that I'm doing it for, small and large, and I'm just grateful I do get to do that.
That's awesome. I think so much of this, it has to start though with the skills. Like, anyone gets to pick their clients and gets to be zen and say, like, if someone else gets it, good for them. Only if they have a skill set and a value that they can add to the world that is strong. When that's strong, you know, like, tomorrow you could go to California and you could pretty quickly be up and running doing the same thing. Like, your skills come with you. And that's what we say to apprentices is, like, hey, come here. I will teach you skills. If you want to now go across the country, you can do that because you have this skill set that no one can take away from you.
Right.
And I love that about our trade. And I love that about your mentality of, like, continuing to educate. You know more than anybody I know about painting. And someday we'll have to do a show from your shop where people can see. Also, guys, if you want us to go longer than an hour, if you have longer than an hour, I feel like we've gone 45 minutes and we're just scratching the surface. So if I think we're probably going to have to, at the end of this hour, continue if you're game for it. But I've been to your shop. We've never done gold leaf. I've never seen it done. You, like, bust out 5 different types of leaf. You're explaining to me about the process of real gold leaf versus, like, the fake stuff, the waxes, like, I was just like this. Your shop is this place that it blew my mind. And I think it would be awesome if we got into how you go about tackling a project where you spend so much time thinking about and planning and doing testing and homework before you ever go to a project. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Same thing goes with wallpaper. Like, I may have hung the same exact paper 4 times before, but I feel like the conditions, the wall, the temperature, so many things could be different. So for me to be focused and be able to concentrate on what it is that's asked of me, I feel like it's just each job and each mistake or something that we're brought in to fix has given me another opportunity to expand on what I already knew, and just being open to continually learning from others' mistakes, and or I have to leave the ego out, because at that point the contractor is already aware of the issue, or the homeowner is brought the concern. So I'm here to fix it to the best of my ability. And I am honest if I'm not a right fit. Like, I'm honest of what I strive to do. And a lot of people just trust that they know that we're going to do the best we can. And so sometimes I'll have to branch out. I don't ever want to be a plumber or a tile setter. I think it's amazing that what they do, but there are certain things that I need to know. And so I think by having that respect for all trades has given me an opportunity to like ask the questions about zinc and galvanum. Who knew that there was like an aluminum zinc coated with an acrylic? I don't know, but I was asked to fix a chemical reaction to this steel. And so if I don't know, I want to know. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to be really good from that one thing. And sure, 3 or 4 times later, I might really have gotten it down. But that's why I am reminded that we've all started somewhere. We all have one gloss door under our belt, or 5 gloss doors, and they get just a little. Mikey Lines that will tell you, like, they just get better and better. You get what you give, and there's a value to that. And that's how I look myself in the mirror at the end of every day. And if it's not a right fit for whatever reason, don't take it personal at all. There's a lot of talented people out there. So
I recall being there, and you store, like, you take intense records of a process, right? You have note cards with,
yeah.
And we'll get into your paint paraphernalia, favorite piece of paint paraphernalia in a minute. But you take these extensive notes of different amounts of tint added, different colors, blends. How much did you thin it? What did you do to get to that, right?
Right.
That is something that that's how painters used to have to do it, right? We didn't go to the paint store and they just mixed our paint for us.
Right.
But I think today, like, we don't do tons of that. We have some things where we need to, like, you make a sample for a client, you better take notes on how you did it so that you can replicate that sample. But your ability to take those intense notes, and then don't you save all of these things for like years and years and years, and then you end up touching them up later, and you have this card you can go back to. And
yeah, or
I was amazed at how much paint and
furniture in there, but like, now we, that console, now we have a whole bar that we added to the great room, and we want to do the same thing, 4 years later. So, and I could see it, and I can kind of like figure it out, but new materials might have come. Like, for me, again, it's just, I like to be, it's important for me. I'm dedicating 8+ hours a day, at least. I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about it, or what have you. Like, I owe it to myself and the client to really just give it the attention that it deserves. Again, that correlates to the value of why we charge what we charge. But just like any hairstylist, I mean, as you can tell, I go all the time. They keep formula cards, and they're, everyone's hair is different in porosity and how it receives different, and the different types of hair colorants or something, so I'm told. I mean, there's so much about other industries that I can draw from, and just kind of to keep me fresh, because we do so many different finishes. And those cards for me allow me to sort of like narrow it down real quick. And just for the sake of it's right here, this is everything.
so Jessica's favorite piece of paint paraphernalia is
the multicolored pen, but this one has a pencil with a eraser. So for me, for note taking, I'm just, and things change, and reductions change, or the veneer versus the solid wood, like, it would have a different time frame. Like, after 3 minutes, wipe it, reduce it 20%, just to again, it just allows me to just focus on the application. But the pencil is also kind of, I don't know, I just love having this thing, and the color coding for me, I'm not that neurotic, but for me, it's sort of my way to keep my shit together.
I love it.
But for the sake of segueing, this is actually what is one of my favorite tools. And it's just, you know, a carbide, smaller carbide. It's always honest. We use it for everything. Once you get a feel for it, it's just one of those things. It's like getting your putty knife out. It's phenomenal, worth it.
Awesome. You carry what tools do you carry with you on a job? How about that? And then at like 6, well, I'll get a 1-minute warning, and then I'll close down the live, and we'll start a new one.
Okay.
But what tools or equipment do you? I know you have a very because you work in the city, you have to have everything very organized. There's no running out to the store.
Yeah.
What is your what do you carry on your person? And then when we have more time, maybe we'll get into what goes in the bag.
All right, you guys are gonna think this is excessive, but I impress so many people that I always have it on me. So always, we have a black marker, you know, a permanent marker. Actually, I emptied my pocket, so so we have a nail set. Okay, so this is it. Ready? Obviously, we have a nail set. Usually, it's the spring one because you have both sides. Always have an Olfa. I really like this really simple 2-sided screwdriver thingy. Of course, my colored pen thing, and you know, I know Phil's big on his 5-in-1, but like, I don't have space in my pockets. But we also have a couple of different drill bits that people always need, like the square tip and the star tip. Like they're so small, I just leave them in my I have a magnet in my pocket, so when I pull out my spring nail set, it pulls everything out in one bundle. And so
I love that.
I have a little Allen wrench, and like basically the bits that people are always looking for or you need, and you're like, where is it? So for me, those are the things, and a putty knife. I have a notebook always in my pocket, but I'm a note taker. I'm sort of, you know, might be an age thing. I guess maybe too, I'm tactile, so if I see it, I can kind of like, it's like a little bit more actionable for me.
That could be one of the rarer things that for painters to carry is you carry a notebook. I love that, and I've seen you use it many times. And when you're looking to provide, when you've thought this much about your craft, and you're looking to give the level of quality and service and attention to detail that you do, having a notebook makes sense. I get it. It's awesome.
Well, it works for me. I'm sure I could simplify, but at the end of the day, there's too many finishes out there and too many different rules of the game that, as much as I can kind of like put all the noise somewhere so that I can focus on the finish I'm working on or the project I'm working on, I know that I'm like, oh, just go to that folder and boom, boom, and I can drive right. It really just allows me to focus. And I want each client to feel like they're unique and special and not just one of 82 high gloss finishes. Like I really try. I don't have to try that hard. I really try to like find something about each job that, I don't know, is special to me, or that is like, there's just something about it that just is sort of my own, like something. It's important for me because I feel like I'm choosing to spend this time in this home or doing whatever, and it's just my own way of sort of kind of like validating, you know, my role, and I was here, and it's something so simple, like really fixing a detail in the corner. I know it's so hippie-ish, but I need to find something about each project to just feel like I left a part of myself. I really tried, and that I'm still showing up and doing the best I can.
That's awesome. And you open your paint cans with a paint can opener. Is that correct?
For sure. Why wouldn't you? I mean, look at
I
that.
have not opened a paint can with a paint can opener in probably 15 years.
It opens up beer. It's amazing.
I know. We always joke about that. I think that's awesome. All right. So real quick, everybody, I'm going to shut, it says there's a minute 40 left. Rather than push it, I'm going to end this live and then I'm going to start one right back up and then request to be in and we'll keep going because we have to ask all the standard ZK Live questions. There's going to be amazing gold nuggets in all of the answers and we'll keep going. So 1 minute, guys.